You're an entrepreneur. You've started small businesses, and I think one question would be is what's your advice for small business owners? And I know there's a lot of advice, but just imagine you're talking to a small business owner who's just starting out. What's that one or two or 10 things that you think you'd tell them?
What I did and really worked for me was number one, just affirm that the pain point really made sense and could be monetized. Sometimes we have a really good idea, and then when you talk to people about actually monetizing that idea and who your customer is, there's some questions about that. So I think that you have to make certain that your idea truly is a pain point for others and that you can monetize it. But the second thing is that I don't think entrepreneurs have to have all the answers.
That's true.
And so I think it's really important to put together a nice little kitchen cabinet and advisory board of people who you know will say no to you, people who will give you counseling, and just a reality check. There was some days that I didn't want to talk to my employees because I just thought I can't let them see my vulnerability.
Right.
Or certainly you don't want to talk to your banker about certain things, or you don't want to take it home to your family. And so it's really nice to always have somebody that you can think out loud with, and sometimes that will take you through some really tough days.
And I like the aspect you said, people who can say no to you, because I know in my own business, sometimes you talk to your friends and buddies, which are good, but they're always going to say, oh, you did a good job. That's okay. You need somebody who's going to no BS you. So.
Right. Well, you remember Benjamin Franklin, had this notion that I call it the Benjamin Franklin effect. And he said, when you ask somebody for help and open up and be candid with them, it actually brings them closer to you. They feel a sense of, if you will, ownership of your success. And so it's okay to ask people for success, and I don't think they'll feel burdened by it. I think they'll be flattered by it.
Well, thank you. And what about those, and maybe a similar advice, I don't know, but say those businesses that are a little more seasoned. They've been in business for 5 years, 3 years, $500,000 in revenue. They're not just starting. Is there any different advice that you may say for them? They've kind of guided, they're humming along, but anything to them? They're kind of looking for that next stage in the journey. What would you advise them?
Yeah, I think we're getting there, but I find that sometimes we're really good at a concept, technology or something, and we're not thinking about how we're managing the capital to make certain that we're leveraging it well. So I find that sometimes there's a great sous chef that doesn't know how to manage a chain of restaurants. There's a great physician that doesn't know how to manage the hospital. And so I think it's always important to make certain, again, that you have people that understand and that help you grow your financial acumen about how to leverage capital. We call it OPM, right? Other people's money, how to use that. And so I want people to know in the very least that they can come to the SBA and we're going to have unbridled interest in their success. We don't have a vested interest in taking a piece of the pie. We're not going to lead them into an industry that we don't think makes sense. And yet we have angel financing. We have mezzanine private equity. We have just debt capital. And I really do lament that not enough entrepreneurs that are now really humming along don't take advantage of the resources that we have at SBA.
I was even surprised at that today. And by the way, one of my companies is a recipient of an SBA-backed loan, so thank you. And it's successful, but I was even looking at the programs today, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that, so shame on me.
Well, and I love one of the things that brings me the most joy is when I travel across the country. I just recently ran into a guy named Kevin, and he said that he had his first loan after everybody said, what do you mean technology and clothing? That doesn't make sense. That's not a concept. And everybody said no. Finally heard about SBA, came to us, and we gave him his $150,000, and he built a company that's now called Under Armour.
I've heard of Under Armour. In fact, I have one of the products on it here. No, that's awesome. We hear a lot about small business and about entrepreneurs, and I don't want to be political or picky here, but in a way I am because it's my passion. But I see small business owners as kind of the main street small business. Could be a dry cleaners, whatever. I think a lot of people in the press or wherever think of entrepreneurs as they're going to be the next Facebook. But my question is, how do you define that at SBA? Is there a difference with small businesses and entrepreneurs? Do you see them as the same? How would you categorize that?
Some people talk about the unicorns and the gazelles,
yes,
but you know what? There's zebras and giraffes out there too.
Okay.
And so I want to share with you that what I see is, as I travel, that there's some families who say, I have a job, but I have this passion for a hobby that I love, and I want to make a little money and sort of support, just augment my income. That's a hobbyist to me. But they're still needing that extra revenue to really manage their household. That's one category. And then they're across the country, the mom and pops that have manufacturing plants that prepare shoes. It's a shoe manufacturer. And we get those to do business with the federal government. We help them get through the corporate supply chain to get more of that business. And then, as you aptly point out, there is that gazelle, that unicorn that's going to go all the way. So we have to have programs that are relevant and responsive to every segment. So we have programs that help that nascent entrepreneur. We have programs that are going to get federal contracts for more women and vets and people of color through our 8A program. And then we're going to have programs that are going to help our companies scale up. And they all have, it's now about the digital. With technology, we can be more responsive and really manage what I call the unit economics of small business.
Okay. I like that. Thank you. And then another thing maybe about the SBA itself. Again, everybody wasn't here today to hear your talk, even though hopefully they will hear it in a few days through this discussion. What are some of the things you said, Ramon? There's a few things about the SBA I want everybody to know. Is there anything like that you would just keep repeating? And so we want you to know this. We want you to take advantage of these services. What would you say? What are those few things?
Well, could you imagine, as I said earlier, if I said, do you want to meet somebody that puts out billions of dollars in just a gift? It's true angel financing. If you have an idea that can grow a job.
Okay, got my idea.
And they invest and they help you, and the role that they play is a true angel. They're not going to take any carried interest. They're not going to dilute your company in any way.
Sounds good.
I mean, you'd want to meet that person.
I would want to.
But people don't think that that's Uncle Sam, and that's SBA. And so I want people to know that, again, even if you don't have collateral to come in to get debt capital, that we do have angel financing. I want them to know about the counseling services. So people can go to SBA.gov and learn.
Absolutely.
What I also want to really say to your constituency, because I love the energy around your readership and your followers, and that is that we have to amplify the voice for small business. I don't think small businesses are getting their fair share of what we're doing for so many others. I can tell you that when I see a company coming in to a flattened economy, to a depressed community, and you're a large corporation, a municipality is going to open their doors, maybe give you free dirt, give you some tax credits. They're going to do all sorts of things to bring in a corporation. But if you're a small business, and eventually 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, we can have 1,000 small businesses licensing, trying to get permitting in a city. I regret and I'm disappointed that cities don't always open up the mat. And that's why I started that program, Startup in a Day, to challenge mayors across the country who are the first point of entry for an entrepreneur to think hard, not just about that large corporation that they want to land, but to think about the churn that the money stays in a local community when it's a small business that's going to stay in that community. And they're going to employ local families, and their bank account's going to be in the local, and their deposits are going to be in that local bank. That's a serious proposition that I think that we have to make certain we're amplifying for small businesses.
And what I like about that is that even though you represent the federal government, I mean, you represent our president, President Obama, is that this is a local initiative. You know what I mean? It's interesting how it's not way up here. It touches New York City or Miami or wherever it is. So thank you.
Well, the president said 3 things to me when he asked me to join his team, and he said, I want you to run an effective SBA. I think we're doing that with the technology we're doing, helping entrepreneurs navigate through the borderless marketplace, and making certain that we're reaching new young people who are entering, and the encore entrepreneurs who also have an innovative idea and they want to take off with it. But he also said, be a voice for small business. And small business comes in all shapes and sizes and all across the country. And so when I see that the VC capital, 2/3 of it is coming from 3 states and only to 25 zip codes, something's got to change. We have to make certain that we are also fueling those ideas that we hadn't thought about. The more diversity of initiative we have, the more prosperity for our country.
Definitely, I will help you with that. So, and last question is, we have Christmas, we have Thanksgiving, we have Easter. There's another holiday coming up called Small Business Week. What is that all about? For the few people under a rock who may not know, and is that important for you and what the SBA is trying to do? What's that all about?
Well, I think that for us to celebrate what I call mom, dads, and grads, I've selected the week of May, and so the president's going to proclaim the first week of May every year to celebrate National Small Business Week. And again, to those who have a side hustle, a smart hustle,
that's what it's about.
I think that it's important for us to remember the role that entrepreneurship plays. When I, as a member of the President's Cabinet, as the voice for small business, I have to assert every time the Secretary of Labor says we're now up to 71 months of consecutive job growth, I have to say 2/3 of that is coming from small businesses. Let's get out and celebrate them. And so I think that to cities and to families, that they have to think, where are my children going to work? And what if they start a business? And do you want to travel? And I love the big sales, right? We all love to go into the malls and get the retail or the online sales. But when you go to a community, what do you say? Do you say, gee, I want to shop at the same store that I shopped in Singapore? You want a local great restaurant. You want that shop that makes something unique for you. You want to talk to that business owner who's going to teach you something about the product that he's selling you. And that's what creates tourism. It's what creates uniqueness in communities. And so I think it is important for us to just pause and say, what's really driving our economy? And let's celebrate that entrepreneur. So I'm calling on America across the country to say, stop for 1 week and open up that door in your local Main Street community. Get to know that entrepreneur and celebrate them. Shop local, shop small.
I'm going to bang the table too. I can feel the passion. No, but thank you. Anything I didn't ask that you wanted to say, but it's been great talking to you. But anything else that I didn't ask that you wanted to mention and share with a lot of small business owners?
Well, I do enjoy that the new generation is thinking about inclusivity in a brand new way. To see people from all communities, men and women, working together. That's the hope that I have, that there is a new way of thinking. My children don't think about, they don't even talk to me about somebody's ethnicity when they invite people over for dinner. They're just friends, and they're people who have interesting ideas, and that's the hope that I have for the future, is that there's going to be a new America that's going to embrace. I'm from California. Do you know that today there is no majority and minority anymore? I'm a little biased, so I like to think that California is the bellwether state, the harbinger of things to come, but it's a plurality. There's no majority and minority. And so if we believe that California is the harbinger and that portends what's going to happen in the future, then I'm really heartened by it, especially because we can use our background, our traditions, to help us understand the marketplaces that await us around the world. And that's why the president's so engaged. And so what I want to tell you is that we're going to have a global entrepreneurship summit this summer in Silicon Valley.
I just registered for that. Yeah, I just put my name on the list to come there. I just registered. I tried to register. Yes.
We're going to invite people from all over the world to come and meet each other. And I love that what the president's doing. It's this great program, and he calls it 100,000 Strong. And he says that right now we have about 40,000 entrepreneurs, half going out of the U.S., half coming in to learn from each other. He wants to make that 100,000 going each way, to have more people exchanging ideas. When you know somebody, you learn to love them. We need to get to know the rest of the world and embrace them.
Love it. This is awesome. Thank you for your time, and thanks for sharing.
Thanks.
Thank you
So
very much.
fun.
No, indeed, and hopefully we'll get in touch.
Bye.